game like this, do you try to keep an even keel with your team, not let them get too high, too low, or do you try to emphasize the importance? The importance of the game.
No, I try to keep an even keel. We try to have a very consistent and business-like approach to every game in terms of game plan, practice. We're pretty regimented in that regard.
These are kind of games you talked about playing when you took the job at Iowa. Now that you're there, how do you feel your team is prepared for this? A game of this kind?
I think we have a tremendous amount of maturity on our team. We've got great senior leadership. That class in particular has been through a lot. We played Michigan State many times. We beat them the first time we played them when I was here, and haven't beaten them since. We've had some really good games with them, so we obviously respect them tremendously. And hopefully that the next time you play them, you do a little bit better, learning from what you did or didn't do the last time.
Aren't they really kind of the gold standard for the Big Ten?
Yeah.
When you look at the Izzo regime.
I think from a consistency standpoint, they're a program that I think every coach in this league understands. If you're going to win a championship, you got to go through Michigan State.
When you talk to Devin in the first half and at halftime and kind of emphasize the message, what do you want to see from him in the first half of Tuesday's game?
He's been pretty consistent, with his effort and his play in pretty much both halves of every game we played. I thought that was a little uncharacteristic of him. He just seemed to be out of sync, and I challenged him, in a rather direct way. When I took him out, and then when I talked to him at halftime. So, for him, he's a guy that responds to those kinds of challenges. Maybe somebody different, you'd have to come at him differently. I went right at him because I expect more from him, and I think the beauty of him is he expects more from himself. To see the way he played in the second half, I think speaks to who he is and his ability, his talent, his leadership, what he wants to get out of the season.
Fran, with a win tomorrow, that'd be 21 straight at Carver, tying the record. Talk about the importance of that.
That's something for everybody to talk about. It's not something that I think about. All I'm trying to do is continue our pursuit of winning a Big Ten championship. And we're playing a team that's above us, a team that was preseason ranked #1, a team that has our full attention. And that's quite honestly my concern.
How difficult does that chase for a Big Ten championship become if you guys were to drop a home?
It would be harder, but not impossible.
How does Michigan State differ right now without having guys like Payne and Dawson in their lineup?
Well, obviously, they're two of the better players in our league. Forget about two of the better players on that team. So it's going to impact them. There's no question. And what it does, and what I've seen is, Appling and Harris have really taken their games to another level, and that's been impressive and not unexpected. But the other thing is, what I think Tom has done is really expanded his bench. I think they have really utilized, in particular, Kaminsky and Costello, Trice. And those are all really good players, and they've gotten a chance to play more. He's also, gotten Ellis and Schilling playing time that maybe they wouldn't have gotten as much of, and they've performed well. So now, they've had so many injuries. Those guys are ready to play. It's not like they got hurt yesterday and they're not going to play today. They've missed Payne for a while. They had, I don't remember the Oakland game, they had four, I don't remember which four, they had 4 guys out for that game. They got out a 67-63 win, things like that. So, it may benefit them in the long run to have been able to have the opportunity to expand their bench the way they have. Obviously, they'd like to have them back, and they'll eventually get them both back.
Even despite the injuries, they seem to be real sharp offensively. I think they only had a couple of turnovers against Michigan. What what kind of leadership is Appling provided in that role?
Well, I think the leadership you would have expected him to provide. You know, he's a senior point guard, has been through a lot, a very talented player. He's a gamer. That term is kind of thrown around loosely a lot of times, but I mean, he is truly a gamer and responds to any challenge. And the challenge is, you know, to continue to engineer victory for his team, regardless of who he's playing alongside. So, he's been impressive.
Early in his career, it seemed to struggle a little bit making that transition from 2 to 1, but he seems to look more comfortable right now.
You know, his freshman year, I mean, he's playing behind Lucas at that position. He was really the other guard when he played most of the time. So, you know, I think it's unfair to say he had trouble making the transition because he really didn't play that position. You know, so he, you know, did his sophomore year, and you know, he had a few ups and downs, but hasn't been too many bumps in a row for him.
Seems like the rotation now, you're pretty comfortable. It seems to be flowing, has some flow to it. Are you happy with how that's developed to this point?
Yeah, I am. You know, I still want to give Peter Jock more opportunities than I have in the previous couple games. I think he deserves to be in there. It's been harder to get 11 in. I think not that we didn't anticipate that would be difficult. It's so much easier with 10. But thrilled with Zach McCabe, you know, and how he's played Utah. I mean, that group, Olashini, has been phenomenal. Basavi's playing really well. So I think the beauty of it, Rick, is we can absorb a couple of those guys having an off day and still have 6 or 7, sometimes 8 other guys playing really well.
Sapp seems to have hit maybe a sophomore slump. He doesn't seem to be playing with a lot of confidence. What is it about his game that's just not elevating the way that?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. You know, he hasn't played as well as he was. His minutes have been curtailed, and that's a tough thing for me because I know the one thing that would help him is to play him more and sort of let him play through some of his mistakes. But with the way Josh Oglesby's playing, that's been hard to justify. You know, Josh has sort of been the guy that's gotten those extra minutes, and it's affected, you know, Anthony Clemens without question. You know, you're seeing it, I think, in his offense in particular. He's not shooting the ball. Forget about not shooting the ball well. He's not shooting the ball much. I think he's shooting poorly. He's really taken very many shots in the last 3 or 4 games. And he was always a guy that you could rely on to score the ball. So, you know, we're just going to continue to encourage him to play up those capabilities and be ready when his name's called.
How satisfying is it to see a guy like Gabe? You know, he's doing it on a more consistent basis now. He seems to have gotten past his lack of confidence issues and is all in with playing the game right now.
Well, you know, you're thrilled with a guy like Gabe who works so hard and is so conscientious. As I've said before, sometimes he's almost too conscientious. You know, and I'm trying to get him to understand it's okay to play the game with a little reckless abandon, because he just never did that. You know, trying to get everything perfect. It's not. And I thought Saturday's a great example. He goes for 14 and 10, made a few mistakes, but played through them and came back and did great things. And that's, you know, I think the transformation in his game that we've all seen. And you're right, there's so much more confidence now in his overall body language, everything he does, he feels good about it. He knows what he's supposed to do. He knows what he's capable of doing. And, you know, he's going to be a critical part of this game tomorrow night. No question.
Fran, do you ever sit back and take it all in? Meaning 4 years ago, I think you played this team. It was a huge snowstorm. Maybe some of the students got let in free, a small arena. Now it's sold out, and on the street the tickets are going to go pretty high. And do you ever kind of look and go, wow, how far we've come in that way, not necessarily on the court?
You know, I probably will later, Scott, not now. You know, we're too focused on work. What do we have to do? How do we prepare? You know, again, we're respectful of our opponent, so we better be locked in as a staff, and we better make sure we have these guys prepared in a way that gives them the best opportunity to win. That's my job. It's great that the building's filled, and it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. My job is to get those guys ready to play. And okay, what have we done that's worked? What have we done that hasn't worked? What do we have to do differently? You know, we're gonna make a lot of changes, we're gonna make subtle changes, all of those things. So there are a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion, and that's my responsibility. That's kind of where my focus is.